Okay, today's video, what used to be a Honda 3813 has no motor. So it used to be a drive shaft. This is one of the ones that used to have a radiator. The drive shaft went through there all the way to the gearbox, which that's the input shaft. And as you can see, there's a bit of an electric motor on there. Okay, so this is a 5-speed with a reverse. It's neutral, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So slightly modified it, put some ATV tyres on the 10-inch rims. They're standard wheels on the front. You can see there, no, I'm not a welder, I'm a mechanic, and 40-year-old steel doesn't weld that well. So there, and from there to there I extended the frame and the steering. So we have, this is not used anymore, that's the old accelerator. Now I have a foot accelerator, and I've got some readouts here, ignition switch. Just lift that up. I got rid of the fuel tank and everything off the back, built a frame. And here have some electronics in the back there, under the seat. So just a couple of 12-volt batteries hooked up to 24 volts. There's an e-bike controller, cooling fan, got some vents that pull air through underneath. And there's a couple of holes down there from the previous battery I had in, which was a Nissan Leaf lithium ion, but the voltage was low and I was having problems with BMSs, so I decided to simplify it somewhat. I'll probably go back to it eventually, maybe, if I find a cheap enough BMS, otherwise it's just too expensive. The whole idea of this is to do it as cheap as possible. So this is a golf cart 24 to 12 volt DC to DC converter, which I have wired through here. So from the batteries it takes the 24 volts. Now I could have gone just from here to here on the 12 volts to get my ignition, but I had this one, so let's just turn her on, and that energizes that and gives me 12 volts there. So once that's on, then we need to turn this ignition relay on, which will turn, this will supply power to turn this, to activate this, and this will be the power supply to this voltage DC to DC converter. This is a step up voltage, this is a step down. That way at the moment I've got it running about 42 volts because these turn off. Supposedly this is a 36 to 48 volts. Anybody using these, I found that this particular one, if you don't have at least 42 volts, this thing just doesn't turn on. So I don't know what's going on with that, but you know, it is what it is. So I guess if you're running a 36 volt motor, most of the times the batteries are above that, so it's a way of cutting it down before the batteries go too flat, I guess. But anyway, this particular unit, it's probably adjustable inside, but I'm not going to go looking for it. So basically I've shared the load on these because they do draw a few amps. So this fuse here I had to upgrade to a 25 amp because I blew the 20. I may go higher, but I just want to see how much amp. This is only a 1200 watts unit. They have 15 amp fuses on there, well, each circuit, so I guess it helps to spread the load across. So this adjusts the amps that are available. Might have to play with that because I found my amperage was down a little bit on the output. And then this is the voltage here, so I've adjusted this to about 42 volts, and then that turns this on okay. So I've got the power 24 volts going through this shunt before it's on the ground side before it gets to here. That way I know that my voltage here is fairly consistent. Even though the voltage varies here, the voltage going out here is consistent. So we just turn it on. It brings up everything there. Let's take this off. So as you can see, the golf cart, there it is. The golf cart keeps it 12 volts fairly consistent. And there's a couple of USBs in there too if I want to charge my phone. But put that there. Okay. Alright, let's this is about a almost a 1-to-1 ratio, slightly more teeth, so it's overdriven to there, but this, even though this should theoretically spin faster than the motor, this thing is really low geared. So originally they only had a 13 horsepower motor, so that's in first gear. So let's knock that into. So that was first gear. Let's go all the way to fifth and watch the amperage draw on that. Yep, I think I need to adjust my voltages because it's cutting out on me. Oh yeah, I don't have any brakes on this yet, so I went up there, came back, it was a bit sketchy. I'm not doing it on the video. So I need some adjustments and to put some brakes on, so I will give you an update hopefully sometime in the next year or two. Okay, see you later.